Hey Siri, can you please play some background chill music? Something that screams like I totally have my life together and haven't moved from my couch in the last 6 hours? That's it. That's right. That's perfect. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Quarter Life Chit Chat. It's me, Nav, your favorite host, your certified procrastination expert, and quite literally the laziest person to ever promise new episode every week and then disappear for 2 whole weeks. Listen, I know I have been MIA, okay? But in my defense, I was very, very busy doing absolutely fucking nothing. Yeah, like some people, they take a break to travel or work on themselves, but not me. I took a break to test my limits of how long a human can stay like a fucking burrito and keep wearing the same pajamas until they become a health hazard. But today, I'm filled with deep motivation to get my shit together. So today, I'm going to be talking to you about something that I'm deeply an expert in. Laziness. Why I do it, why we do it, how we justify it, and why, despite my best effort, I still haven't figured out how to be a functional human being who sleeps on a good, healthy schedule, not like 5 a.m. like my bitch ass, and who has their shit together, unlike me. So sit back, relax, grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee while you're listening to this beautiful episode. So without further ado, let's jump into it, shall we? Since the topic for the day is laziness, let's jump into the science of laziness, right? Like let's start from the foundation. They say laziness is a bad thing, but let's be real. Laziness is just a really efficient way to disguise yourself. The whole notion work smarter, not harder. I'm sure you've heard that. That is what laziness is. Every person has a lazy mode. Okay, we all do. And the notion that, I'm a workaholic, it's just not true. First of all, let's break that down. There's no such thing as a workaholic. Okay, but there is a thing that is, I hate my fucking life. All workaholics are not really in love with their work, they just hate their lives. Let's start there. Okay? Secondly, we all have a lazy mode. You look at a laundry pile of 3 days and you just think, oh, if I just don't look at it, it'll disappear and everything will fold itself. And guess what? I'm not the only motherfucker that has done this, and I know for sure that everybody listening to this episode has done the same thing. Now you might be thinking, well, geez, Nav, you must have done your laundry at that point, right? No. You know what I did when I didn't do my laundry for whole 3 weeks and I had no clothes to wear? I just simply went out and bought a new pair of jeans, some boxers, and like some t-shirts. I'm not making this shit up. And this happened roughly 2 years ago, and back then I should have realized that my actions are just a start of the laziness that is about to follow, but I didn't. I didn't, okay? And the next thing I know, I blink an eye and it's 3 years later, and I'm somehow more lazier than ever and something I'm an expert in. But in my defense of having a lazy mode that just kicks in, we all have the access to wardrobe, right? Like, tell me with access to wardrobe, you're not gonna be, getting lazy and not doing your laundry. For those who don't know what wardrobe is, it's basically your floor where you just leave clothes on before you either go to sleep or you just leave your clothes where they are on the ground. We all have it. Don't fucking lie to me. You've all done it. So, keeping this in mind, when you see the science behind laziness, you realize that it's not the person's fault. AKA, it's not my fault that I'm lazy. It's really just the world's fault that, everything has become so convenient, such as I can leave my clothes on the floor if I need to, or I can just buy new clothes on the whim because I'm frankly too lazy and tired to do my laundry, and I just happen to be out and about shopping. But let's take a step further. I decided to take a deep look within. I decided to reflect. I went to the temple, I prayed God to give me the strength to look within myself and understand why I'm a lazy sack of shit. And that allowed me to comprehend and come up with the excuses we all make for being lazy. Let's be real. Laziness is not a child's play. It's a man's game, right? Laziness is an elite level excuse game. We just don't admit to being lazy. We justify it like we're lawyers in court, and god damn it, nobody's better at justifying laziness than me. Here's some of the examples I used this past week of my laziness. My mom asked me to do something and go buy I think some onions for a dish she was making, and I said, "Ma, I can't do that." And she said, "Why not, Nav? The Walmart's 5 minutes away." And I said, "Onions are really bad for gut health and blood sugar levels, and you're a diabetic, so we shouldn't be using it." And my mom said, "Oh, really? I didn't know that." And then she decided to change her mind about cooking dinner that day. I'm not joking. I gaslit my mom into not making me go to Walmart to buy a fucking pound of onions. I'm not even joking. Don't fucking judge me. But I've officially become so lazy that I'm so tired of it that when I was coming up with the idea to make this episode, I started thinking about my laziness. And I'm sure each and every one of you that has thought that, damn, I've become so lazy. When you think about your laziness just enough, we all have that voice that comes from deep within us that says, "Hold up, wait a minute." You know that voice? And I thought to myself, I'm like, maybe I'm not lazy, but rather just burnt out. Okay? Hear me out. Hear me out here, okay? What if or even we're not lazy? What if I'm just experiencing a creative recharge period? What if you yourself are just burnt out from the day-to-day dynamic of clocking in and out of work, clocking in and out of gym, clocking in and out of gaming with the boys? The difference between being genuinely lazy and needing rest, I firmly believe, is a very fine line. As I said in my previous episode, it's officially February, and the motivation you have from the New Year resolution has officially run out. Literally on the dot for me. But I started thinking, I'm like, am I just burnt out? And I started thinking, and I was like, well, I have been dealing with my friends being fucking ops for past 2 months. I've been dealing with rejection from med schools. I've been working on a couple other personal projects. Perhaps I'm just burnt out. And you know what? God damn it. I came upon realization that I am just burnt out. My creative energy is borderline dead. My motivation to do anything is borderline dead. And I really even sat there and thought to myself, I'm like, what if all the nonsense that I've been dealing with for past 2-3 months, what if that's getting the best of me and I just have no energy? And I started thinking. And with that, I came upon this, euphoric, philosophical thought that sometimes doing nothing is actually self-care. And other times, it's just me being allergic to responsibility. And I started thinking, which one is it? And honestly, folks, this episode is a prime example to the idea that I am not necessarily lazy, but rather burnt out. Because if I was lazy, I wouldn't sit here recording this episode at 3 a.m. in the morning talking about laziness. But rather, I took the 2 weeks of MIA, recharged my creative juice a little bit, and hopped on. And my God, I cannot explain how good it feels to hold my phone back in my hand, put the microphone on, and just record this episode. So upon coming to this realization for myself, and as well as, all the listeners that are going to be listening to this episode, I came up with the ideas on overcoming laziness. I had to dive deep into the Google archives, and I have the answers, okay? So now, you might be asking, well, you're right, Nav. I am lazy, and shit, motherfucker, you're the laziest person I ever know. So how do we fix it? How do we fix being so lazy? And folks, the answer is that I simply have no idea. I got no fucking clue. I'm gonna be honest. You think if I had idea I would have been lazy? No. I ain't got no fucking clue. But I do have some things that I think might work. The first thing that I think might work is the whole notion, you must have heard from your grandparents or your parents, that if you don't want to do something, just do it. Right? Just do it. And my thing is, if Nike has fucking said it, if Nike has made that a slogan, then it must work and it has my support. Okay? The next trick I think is going to work in fighting laziness is the 1-minute rule. If a task that takes less than a minute, do it immediately. And I think there's some great potential here. Except that my brain still says no. But you know what? We're all fighting demons. Okay? We're all fighting different demons. But lastly, the trick that I think is going to help fight anybody's laziness is accountability. Okay? Find a friend who you can bully and who you're going to peer pressure into following it up with how productive you've been. And now, yes, I know that you listening right now, the biggest issue you have with this trick is finding a friend or having a friend. I can't help you with that. You're doomed. But find somebody, okay? If just go on a walk, jump somebody on the street, and be like, be my friend, because I need help with laziness, and help me get my shit together. I promise, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to work. Absolutely not at all. And that's my trick, okay? This is what I have gathered in fighting laziness, and I hope, it helps you, because God knows it's not going to help me. But God knows that I will find a way to overcome my laziness. But on to a more serious note, if you are feeling lazy, just reflect. Reflect and see whether you're being lazy or you're burnt out. Because even though this episode is pure satire, it did help me understand that my laziness is a blend of being a sack of shit, but more importantly, being extremely emotionally burnt out. And perhaps you're in that boat too. And if you are, take the time, take the space, and relax, breathe, and ease into things. And that's it for today's episode, folks. Moral of the story, laziness is an art form, and I'm the Picasso. But maybe, just maybe, I'm going to be overcoming my laziness and become a little bit more productive. Starting tomorrow. Or maybe next week. The point is, I will be starting at some time in 2025. And if you enjoyed this episode, send it to a fellow lazy person so they feel seen, they feel heard. Alright, I'm off to do something extremely non-productive and try to get my burnt outness figured out. Is that even a word? Burnt outness? Regardless, I'll see you next time, hopefully before another 2-week disappearance. Hasta la vista, folks. Bye-bye!